Alright, what's up guys? My name is Zach, and today I am driving the 2026 Subaru Outback Premium. Up front is a 2.5 liter flat 4, and down below is a CVT. Now I am super excited to be driving this Subaru Outback because it is all new for 2026. But also this is the Premium, which in Subaru speak means base model. This is the base model of the Outback, so this is going to be the most affordable way to get behind the wheel of one of these cars, and so today we're going to be taking a look at what you get for that price tag. But if you'd like to submit your own vehicle and have it reviewed here on the channel, you can head on over to my website, zackpradel.com/submit. It's a quick and easy submission form. It takes under a minute to fill out, and I come out to you. And if you'd like to see all my videos weeks or sometimes months in advance, you can head on over to my Patreon for only $5 a month. Last but not least, huge thank you to Napleton Subaru in Schaumburg for letting me borrow the Outback in today's video. Please go browse their inventory using the link down in the description below. But let's get back to the 2.5 liter flat 4 under the hood. Well, that is the base engine here for the Outback. You can also find a 2.4 liter turbo that is going to offer a lot better of a driving experience, but honestly, this 2.5, it's fine. Is it a thrilling, exhilarating motor? No, it's not. It's a pretty flat driving experience, and no pun intended with the orientation of the engine. I guess dull would kind of be the way. There's no zings, pops, rattles, squeaks, or beeps that make it any bit interesting. And so it's gonna work, it's gonna operate, it's gonna do its thing, but just not in any zippy kind of way. Now, like I said, paired to it is a CVT. Subaru has used CVTs for almost the last 2 decades here in America. They've had Subaru technology since like the 80s with the Justy. It's fine enough. I never recommend towing big campers or towing heavy loads with CVTs. It overheats them. But for regular daily driving, which a more standard Outback is going to be used for, they're fine enough. They work well. It says that it has an 8-speed shifting feel, so you can pretend to row through gears, but you don't really have to. Last but not least, of course, the Subaru Outback is all-wheel drive. It uses Subaru's symmetrical all-wheel drive system, and there is no way to get one in only 2-wheel. How does it feel to drive the new Subaru Outback? It is good. On-road presence is nice. Like I said, you're not going anywhere quickly, but it's smooth enough. The power's fine enough. The thing is that it drives like an SUV, and we'll talk a lot about that because this is now an SUV where the outgoing Outback was more of a station wagon. It definitely takes on those characteristics. It feels and drives bigger, although dimensionally it isn't much bigger than the outgoing model. It has more presence on the road. I feel more Honda Pilot-y than I do Audi S4 Avant. And some people might like that. Honestly, in an SUV-heavy world, people want more SUVs, and so Subaru is now offering another SUV. But to the people that really love the wagon, I think this is going to alienate them a little bit, especially in the way that the vehicle drives. It does not drive like the old Outback. It drives well, it drives good, it's a good product. It's just not what the people wanted originally, but we'll talk about that later on. Foot to the floor in the new Outback. A, you probably didn't hear a whole lot, but B, you probably also didn't see a whole lot. Didn't really go that quick. The 2.5 liter has always been very normal, very average, and you really feel that here in the Outback. It's not awful, but it's not great, and I much rather prefer the 2.4 turbo. With that stuff out of the way, let's talk about the interior. Well, in front of me, I have a completely digital gauge cluster. I do really like this gauge cluster. I think it's easy to look at, easy to read, and you can swap around a bunch of different things. You can get a ton of different information on here. High resolution, high frame rate, and I like it. On the steering wheel on the left, we do have our skip track source selection for the gauge cluster screen, as well as phone options and volume. And off to the right, we have our adaptive cruise, as well as our X mode button for our harsh terrain. We also do get a heated steering wheel, which is standard here, so for the price, that's very nice to see. Off to the left, we do have a climate control vent, but we do have this new fabric Really like that. And down below we have our tailgate release and gauge dimmer switch. Moving on to the door, even more fabric found over here. We have our power mirrors, power locks, and power windows. Very simple there. Moving into the center, we get our infotainment display. So obviously the whole car is new, but this is like new. It doesn't feel like they copied this from any other vehicle, and it has a new operating system. And honestly, I like it a lot better than the outgoing Subaru Outback system. I think this is easier to see, easier to use, easier to read, and it's just better. I do find this infotainment to be a lot better than the outgoing, so that is definitely nice to see. We do have a backup camera as well. So here's the resolution of that. I think it's fine. However, higher trim models will have a 360 camera. This one just doesn't have that. Down below, we do have 2 climate control vents with the hazard switch, and we get our climate controls. We have physical buttons for the climate controls. Subaru is listening to us. I love the physical buttons. This is a huge win. Fan speed, heated seats, temperature, 2 dials. I love it. I get physical climate controls. This is beyond sweet. So happy to see that they are moving back into this direction. But then we do have USB-A and USB-C down below. We do get a wireless charger and the center console. So shifter off to the left. Nothing really interesting there. Auto start stop on and off, our auto holding brake and traction control off, power parking brake, and then we have cup holders off to the right. So we will do a big friggin' bottle test here in the Subaru Outback Premium, and unfortunately it fails here, but if you go over to the door card, they actually engineered the bottom part of the door to not only accept big water bottles, but they actually added a fabric in there so that the water bottle doesn't make noise and rattle around. So it does overall get a pass, but not in the center cup holders, in the doors themselves. Very interesting. Then we do have a 12-volt outlet and the center console. Nothing in there, but you know, you get one. And then the seats. The seats look like leather. It's actually Subaru StarTex material, which I don't mind. I think it looks good enough. I think it's comfortable enough, especially with the heated seat feature. It's been comfortable here today, so I don't have any complaints about it. However, speaking of seats, we do have back seats. So let's go do a back seat review. All right, so genuinely, I haven't even looked in the back seat yet, so this is my first impression of it. Already looking at it, looks pretty decent, but stepping in, this will be the true test. Close the door up here. We do get the same fabric on the front doors as back here. Knees are not hitting the seat in front of me. However, I have to get almost like a side shot because this front seat is actually sort of curved. Very interesting, and this is all very soft. So if someone slams the brakes, you're gonna have a lot better of a day than kids did in the 90s. Down below, we do have, try to shade you from the sun here, we do have a USB-A and USB-C. Those block-off panels on either side would probably be for heated seats in the rear. This does not get it at the base model. StarTex carries on back here. We do get a light up here, and overall, I fit really well back here. I am comfortable, I'm enjoying the space. I'm 5'11" and not a small guy, and I fit. You know, that is always one of the concerns with vehicles like this. At this price point, I should fit, gosh darn it, and I do. So, totally fine there. We do get a center console. You can see what's in here. 2 cup holders. Pretty basic stuff. Let's hop out. We'll take a quick look at the trunk behind me, and then we'll talk about the looks. Another huge win is that it does have a power tailgate as standard. Very nice to see that. Once we are back here, a couple of things to note. First of all, we do have a 12-volt outlet back here. Love to see that. Although I would have liked to have seen a wall outlet for a more outdoorsy vehicle. But then we have this. So Subaru has gotten rid of the standard privacy cover for the back of the Outback. So now, this is basically just fabric, and it can be used as a tonneau cover, a hammock, a partition, or a step cover. So very interesting. That's a new accessory type thing. We have our floor mats here, and we have a giant floor mat as well. We have handles over here that you could press to release the second row. There you go. And that would fold flat if the headrests are removed. So it does get a fold flat. We can come down here. We do get a little handle, and we get some storage, and we do get a spare tire down below. You gotta really dig for it, but you do get a spare tire here in the Outback. So that is the rear cargo space of the brand new Outback. You can come up here and lock the vehicle or just close it, it'll beep, and it is a power operated mechanism right back down. Very, very nice. Now we gotta talk about the looks, and I do like the look of the Subaru Outback. I like the look of the non-wilderness Outback better. I think that this is actually the more handsome vehicle. I like the nice shade of blue. I think overall it's handsome, it's presentable. I like it enough. We do have to talk about it. Dimensionally, it is barely bigger than the outgoing Outback. However, it sits higher, it has more ground clearance, and I think that's what really gives it an SUV appeal. It does look like a wagon. It is still a wagon. It just sits higher, and the proportions of it are kind of almost an optical illusion that it isn't a wagon. So very, very interesting there. I think it works well enough. I like the look of it. It's just not what people are used to, but we could talk about that here in a second. With all of that being said, let's get on to my final thoughts. What do I think driving the new Subaru Outback in a standard, more regular trim level for regular buyers? Well, I like it a lot. I do really enjoy the new Outback. There are a couple of drawbacks, so let's talk about that. A, it does not drive like the outgoing Outback. Maybe that's a good thing, maybe that's a bad thing. I'll let you decide, but it does drive just in a different way. Another big thing that I haven't talked about yet is that they actually moved production of the Outback to Japan. Historically, the Outback has been built in Lafayette, Indiana. It's like an hour from where I live. However, they actually moved production of the Forester to the United States, and they moved the Outback production to Japan. So a lot of people don't like that. Some people do really like that. That is personal opinion, but something that should be noted. Another downside, I know we haven't talked about it much, but I do think that the Wilderness is kind of an ugly front end, at least. I don't like it. But there's a lot of good in here as well. The infotainment is a lot better to use. It's simple, it's clear, it's easy. The climate controls are physical. Love that. Absolutely head over heels for that. And the third thing is that you do get a lot of good standard features. Heated steering wheel and heated seats, the digital dashboard. This feels like a okay spec'd car where it's actually the very base. So that is nice. You do feel like you get a little bit more because this did have a $6,000 price jump over the outgoing Outback. So you do start to see that here and there. Of course, prices are always going to increase, but you do get a little bit more over the outgoing base model. I like that quite a bit. Overall, I think the new Outback is a decent car. The issue with it is that it isn't what people are used to. And so it'll be very curious to see how these sell, if people are willing to adapt, or if they've now alienated the wagon community, a community that already was dwindling in numbers. I don't know. I think the product itself is good. I'm curious to see the public reaction to it and to see how it goes. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to Napleton Subaru in Schaumburg for letting me borrow the new Outback for today's video. They have been absolutely wonderful to work with. I have filmed with them for quite some time, several years at this point. Great customer service, great experience all around. And if you are looking for a new Subaru, please go check out Napleton Subaru in Schaumburg. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.